jobs available near you. And the best part is that it's free for candidates to access 24/7. If you want a local job when you don't have to spend a lot of money on gas to get to, then you want access to IllinoisJobPost.com to check out current local job openings. That web address again is IllinoisJobPost.com. Another service from your friends at the Miller Media Group.
This Miller Media Group radio station and our online daily newspaper, DeWittDailyNews.com, have got winter weather covered. With our exclusive event delay software, closings and cancellations are posted instantly when received, 24/7, and also air every 10 minutes during applicable times. And find out the latest road conditions at the road conditions icon on DeWittDailyNews.com. Whether online or on air, we've got you covered.
Central Illinois' leading online source for local news, police blotter, for the record information, obituaries, and more is DeWittDailyNews.com. Since 2008, DeWittDailyNews.com has delivered fresh, online content to internet readers. From the City Council, to School Board, to the County Board and more, DeWittDailyNews.com covers the local news you expect from the area's #1 local news source, and it's all absolutely free. Now you have even more ways to access DeWittDailyNews.com. Whether you're at your desktop, laptop, tablet, iPhone, or smartphone, DeWittDailyNews.com is delivered to all those platforms. That's right. It's even there on your iPhone and smartphone. The same local news, weather, and sports that's on the full-size edition is on your iPhone and smartphone just by going to DeWittDailyNews.com. If you haven't tried it, why don't you go to Central Illinois' leading online source for local news, police blotter, for the record information, obituaries, and more on your desktop, laptop, iPhone, or smartphone, DeWittDailyNews.com.
News time is 8 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Thursday. Top of the morning from the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com. I'm Seth Lawrence with this expanded 7 o'clock newscast brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, and the morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. A Central Illinois law enforcement official is celebrating legislation that would have handcuffed law enforcement on traffic stops, and it is being pulled back. DeWitt County Sheriff Mike Walker tells Regional Radio legislation out of Chicago would make traffic stops much more difficult.
Yes, that's so. On Monday, Illinois Sheriff's Association sent out an email to all the sheriffs in reference to this legislation. It was House Bill 4603. And basically what it did was it amended the Illinois Vehicle Code that no law enforcement officer shall stop a motor vehicle for a number of things, just a few of them here rather than go through the whole list. Failing to display registration plates, expired registration, general speed restrictions unless that violation is a misdemeanor or felony. So basically, if somebody is speeding, we couldn't stop them unless they were 26 miles an hour over the speed limit or faster. Improper lane usage, obstructed windshield, failure to wear a seatbelt. And not only did it eliminate all those different things, but it went on to say that it provides that no evidence that would be discovered or obtained as a result of one of those stops in violation of those provisions, included but not limited to evidence discovered or obtained with the operator's consent, shall be admissible in any trial, hearing, or other proceedings. So basically, one of the examples I like to use is, say you're driving down Route 54, two-lane highway, and you're behind a vehicle that is going from lane to lane, and you call that in, and one of the deputies gets behind that vehicle and sees it improper lane usage there. With this legislation, we could not stop that car. If we stopped that car and then we approached it and discovered that the driver was impaired under the influence, then any evidence that we gained through that stop would not be admissible. So basically, it was saying that if we had somebody doing a situation like that, technically we wouldn't be allowed to stop them.
The sheriff and his peers across, in law enforcement across the state are breathing a sigh of relief today as it was announced this proposal is now off the table.
I do have to say, fortunately, Representative Justin Slaughter, who filed this legislation, contacted the executive director of the Illinois Sheriff's Association this morning, told him that he is not moving this bill this session. So he also went on to say that the bill was written significantly more broad than he intended, and he will not move the bill this year. And he did want to highlight that the give out the Illinois Sheriff Association credit for him not calling the bill. And one of the good things we got out of this is that any future discussions the Sheriff Association will be part of. So he also took ownership of the issue and apologized for how this process was laid out. So fortunately, apparently, there was some backlash on this, and Representative Slaughter must have taken a look at this and realized that it wasn't the way it was written was not good legislation, and has decided not to move forward with it during this session or this year.
The sheriff says the sheriff says oftentimes laws like this reflect on the deteriorating public trust in law enforcement, but reminds it's a very small number of officers that make the headlines that paint law enforcement in a bad light. He continues to appreciate the support his staff has locally in DeWitt County. A timeless classic in the world of sweet treats is going to be for sale soon. It is Girl Scouts cookie sales season, and on the WHOW Morning Show Wednesday, Crystal Morris with the Clinton Girl Scouts told Regional Radio sales start this Friday and will last for 6 weeks. Sales are now not only in person, but also online.
It starts officially on February 3rd.
February 2nd.
We can hit the ground running. You can still, currently you can buy digital on Facebook. A lot of parents have already posted their link, and you can purchase that way, and you can, already get starting. But the physical sale starts on the 2nd. I know that our girls, personally, like my daughters, we sell more door to door than we do digital.
Right.
But there are other families that they only sell digital. So it's just kind of what works best for your family.
According to Morris, Girl Scout cookie sales are the biggest fundraiser of the year for the troop. She indicates it can be a huge boost for girls in the program who may struggle to be able to afford opportunities offered by the Scouts.
We have two main fundraisers. We have the candy and nut sales in the fall, and that usually kind of helps kick off your Girl Scout year. It's a few $100s that you get out of that. And then cookie season's where that's where what makes our money for the year.
Sure.
And we rely 100% on that money. Otherwise, it is a situation where the leaders have to put money out of their own pockets. And when you have your own bills and families and stuff, it's hard to finance an entire troop. And we do have lower income families in Clinton, and we have those lower income families in our troop. So we don't like saying, hey, we want to do this stuff, but you guys have to put this much money in. And
the Girl Scouts offers several opportunities throughout the year, but one of the biggest items on the things of the cookie sales that it supports is the end-of-year activity for the Girl Scouts.
Well, we've had a variation throughout the years. First couple of years, we got about $1,500 to $2,500 just selling. I only had, a handful of girls at that time. And then we've had years all the way up to $3,500 to $4,500. And then it honestly and truly just depends on the girls, the year, if they're really pushing their pushing their cookies. If they're, trying. I have some girls that they just have no interest in it, and that's fine. They still get to be included in the end of the year trip because everything raised is still for the troop, whether a girl sells or not, because we don't ever want anybody to feel like they have to do something. So it just kind of varies year to year. So we like to be able to have that money to take the girls camping or take them for different activities and stuff like that, because otherwise there's just no way we could.
Right.
Fundraising cookies is huge for us. So, and even if someone doesn't want to buy a box of cookies, they can always donate to the troop. If they walk up and they're like, I don't want cookies, but here, take this for your troop, we can always take donations for the troop.
Sure. The Girl Scouts also use some of the proceeds to give back. Morris says it is heartwarming to watch the generosity of the girls play itself out.
And then towards the end of the year, Christmas time, we actually do the angel tree or the foster tree. Our girls will pick 6 tags and we do it by age. So we do girls that are Girl Scout ages of the tags. And our girls then go shopping, and we give them, this is how much money you spend per tag. And then we will go out, we'll go shopping, we get it all gathered, and then we turn it in. One year, we had a amount per tag. And it just warms my heart. So I'm sorry. But our girls, one of the tags, they had little things on there, but one of the things was they wanted a bike. And so I told the girls, okay, like, we can get this little stuff, but the bike is definitely over our budget unless you guys want to vote, and we can take some of our end of the year money and put it towards this bike. And without hesitation, every single one of my girls was like, get the bike, you know? And so it was really awesome that they were giving up part of their trip for the bike. And it was really awesome.
Anticipate seeing the Girl Scouts in local parking lots in your community. Morris says locally, Dave Jackson is very wonderful to work with and appreciates his support in allowing the Girl Scouts to set up at the front of his store on Saturdays. If buying a box of cookies is not something you want for yourself, Girl Scouts leaders hope you'll consider a box share option where you can purchase a box of cookies for a first responder or 911 dispatcher worker. News time is 17 minutes after the hour here on this Thursday. Plenty more coming your way next on the WHOW Morning Show.
We are celebrating winter here at Baum Chevrolet Buick. This is Scott Baum in Clinton and Farmer City. Start the new year off with a new Chevy Silverado. We have the right Silverado to get your hauling and towing jobs done, like our 1500s, 2500s, and 3500s in gas or diesel with several trim levels, custom, LT, LTZ, or even high country. Celebrate winter today. BaumChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
News time, 18 minutes after 7 o'clock here on this Thursday. Again, I'm Seth Lawrence with you folks today for this expanded local newscast. The Illinois County Fair Circuit has recovered nicely post-COVID, says Illinois Association of Agricultural Fairs President Dave Hake of Washington County.
I think to a certain point, I mean, the first year our fair after the pandemic, we had some of the larger attendance we have had in the past years. And we've grown every year since the pandemic. But it just takes so much, and part of it goes to we're trying different things. I mean, just like the concert, we had people drive. We went through our parking lot on a golf cart the one night of the concert, and I mean, it was just kind of amazing. There was plates from Missouri, Kentucky. You know, we seen a car from California, one from New York. You know, we don't know if they was there visiting or if it was people that was just traveling across the state of Illinois and heard it on the radio or such. Oh, let's see if they got tickets tonight, and went that route. But our fair has picked up every year since the pandemic. And to give you a reason why, I don't know why, but I would say because a lot of it's we're trying different things.
Hake was seated as the president of the organization last month. It's been a while since we've had to deal with saturated ground, but some parts of Illinois are finding that now, says freeze notice weather meteorologist Paul Otto.
Especially in northwestern parts of the state, you've definitely seen everything. Rainfall, in fact, when you melt down the snow that was upwards of 4 inches, and that's well above normal for this time of the year. And that's what's created the saturated ground. That's most likely also creating some basement issues in terms of starting to see some moisture collect in the basement. And that could very well continue for the rest of this week. But we do see a ton of sunshine headed our way. And we experienced a little bit of it on Monday, and it's going to continue through the week. In fact, if we look at Friday for Groundhog Day, I believe that northeast portions of Illinois with a backdoor cold front, the clouds will push through. So going to see sunshine. Therefore, the groundhog will see a shadow. So 6 more weeks of winter for the northeastern portions of the state. But I think that backdoor cold front will reach to around I'd say to Quincy down to Carbondale line, and they'll see the clouds, and therefore groundhog will not see a shadow in an early spring. And doesn't that figure that the south and southwestern portions of the state, just because of a rodent, can possibly have an early spring, while northeast portions, because they see sunshine on Groundhog Day, we'll have 6 more weeks of winter.
Most of Illinois should see a dry start to February. Early detection of various health issues is key to effective treatment. For women, screenings for breast cancer, cervical cancer, colon cancer, and osteoporosis are advised. So an expert with OSF Healthcare says you need to talk to your provider about what screenings are right for you and when. For example, OSF Chief Medical Officer Dennis Sands says the HPV vaccine should be considered before one becomes sexually active.
But if they don't get it then obviously we can give it in later years, up to 26 years of age, where it's still very, very effective. And if somebody gets it, under 15 years old, under 15 years of age, they only need 2 doses. One dose is given at the initial dose, and then 1 dose is given 6 months later. But once, you get over 15, what's been found is then you need 3 doses to get that really robust immune response.
For more information on women's health, visit osfhealthcare.org/women. Illinois anglers eager to showcase their skills in catching walleye, sauger, or saugai are gearing up for the virtual Midwest Walleye Challenge to take place in 2024. Started by the Illinois Department of Natural Resources in collaboration with other states, provinces, and experts at Anglers Atlas, this year's competition looks to provide invaluable insights into the region's fisheries. Kevin Irons is Assistant Chief of the Illinois Department of Natural Resources Fisheries Division and spoke on the significance of such competitions in advancing understanding of Illinois' fisheries. Irons says competitions like this are incredibly valuable to the understanding of Illinois' lakes and ponds, reassuring anglers that sensitive location data will remain confidential. Utilizing the mobile app MyCatch, participants will record the length of each fish caught by capturing a photo on a measuring device. Once reviewed, reviewed and meets the rules, the catch appears on a live leaderboard, creating a competition atmosphere. Sean Simmons, founder and president of MyCatch, expressed excitement about expanding the innovative tournament format beyond Iowa, emphasizing its potential in other Midwest states and Canada. The competition offers 2 participant categories, a $25 entry fee category with cash and non-cash prizes, and a free category with non-cash prizes. Prize categories are tailored to meet the data needs of fisheries biologists, including awards for tough luck, 0 catches, to identify locations lacking fish presence, and most water bodies fished, and to enhance data collection amount, longest fish caught, and random draw prizes further incentivize anglers to report their catches, ensuring a comprehensive representation of the walleye fishery. Illinois anglers are encouraged to sign up online, marking their participation in a groundbreaking event that not only celebrates the thrill of angling, but also contributes to vital fisheries management efforts across the Midwest. The Rural Energy for America program is helping thousands of farmers save millions of dollars while producing clean energy. Gary Crawford has this report.
The 2008 Farm Bill took a couple of farm-level energy programs, combined them to create the Rural Energy for America program, REAP for short, and by 2010, then, Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack had begun to go around the country introducing this new program to reporters and producers and explaining how it would work.
What Congress has directed USDA to do is to make available resources to farmers to first and foremost audit their activities on farm, to determine if there are steps that could be taken by individual farm families to convert to renewable energy sources and to move away from a reliance on fossil fuel. Once the audits are finished, then they can make application to the USDA for additional resources to convert their operation.
So now let's fast forward 14 years. Tom Vilsack, still the Agriculture Secretary, and the Rural Energy for America program is still there, still going very strong, helping more and more farmers pay for individualized renewable energy projects on their farms.
Today we're announcing an expansion of opportunity in that space.
More awards, more projects, and Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack still traveling the country talking about the REAP program. He was in Salt Lake City a few days ago telling the American Farm Bureau Federation Convention that the USDA has already funded over 4,800 REAP projects. And
we're announcing 650 additional projects being awarded in 42 states, about $150 million to expand that opportunity. It's going to help lower costs for farmers all across the United States.
But Vilsack said in many cases, these are more than just cost-saving projects.
It also creates the opportunity, as farmers improve renewable energy opportunities and increase the amount of energy that's produced on their farm, they can take that excess energy and, working with their neighbors, potentially work with their REC to create power purchasing agreements and yet another income source that doesn't exist today that will exist in the future.
And speaking of the future, Vilsack said we can expect many more REAP project announcements in the coming months. Gary Crawford reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
What should ag producers think about from a tax perspective if they also own timber? Rod Bain has this report.
Ag producers, do you happen to also have timber acreage as part of your property?
Many farmers own a small or even a large portion of woodlands on their farm around the country.
And Greg Fry of the U.S. Forest Service says if that is the case, there are things you need to consider when it comes to factoring such lands and any economic benefits from them when preparing your 2023 income taxes. First,
there are differences for tax purposes
when comparing agricultural resources for income tax and deductions versus forestry.
For farmers, you can be either a hobby farmer or a farmer for trade or business. But for timber landowners, there's also a different category of sort of investment timber owners where you're not quite as actively managing it, but you're still doing it for a profit. So that adds an extra wrinkle for timber landowners.
Another tax consideration for farm landowners with timber on their acreage.
Even though you may own timberland or woodlands on your farm, it's not necessarily treated the same way as agricultural income. So, for example, Section 1301 of the tax code allows farmers to average income over multiple years, but that's not allowed for timber.
In addition,
there are also some special provisions in tax laws for forests and forestry, such as there is a deduction and amortization allowed for expenses associated with reforestation.
Now, some tax terms and categories timber landowners should know, whether they farm or not, include basis, as in the basis of their timber.
It's kind of a calculation of how much the accumulated cost of that particular piece of property over time that you haven't already deducted on previous year's taxes. So if you have accumulated basis in timber, when you go to sell that timber, then you can deduct that cost from the revenue and you'll lower your taxes.
And how is basis calculated?
The calculation depends a lot on whether you purchased the land, whether you inherited the land, whether someone gave you the land, or whether you received the land in exchange for another similar piece of land.
I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
News time, 29 minutes after 7 o'clock. Coverage of news brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, and we stream to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance.